Sam Reynolds was riding high. He had just won his second straight wrestling state championship and then celebrated his 18th birthday. But then, just a couple weeks later,
started out that week, he just was kind of having some symptoms, some pain. Didn't really think anything out of the normal. The next morning he woke up and he was really tired, but he was very pale and I could tell he was sick. And so Dusty took him back to get rechecked that Friday morning. It was March 31st. He ended up getting sick in the doctor's office, nearly passing out. And
sink and spell.
Sink and spell. And so they took him to the ER and he spent the majority of the day there waiting on blood work, waiting on tests. And the doctors came back and said, well, his blood didn't look quite right. He's sick, we need to admit him and check things out and see what's going on. And it was that weekend, they had an oncologist come in and he said, well, blood's not looking right. We need to cast a broad net and look at all these things. And one of those things was leukemia. And by Tuesday of that next week, after a bone marrow test, they confirmed that he had AML.
I just remember having the pain of the infection, and it was similar to what I had had before, just dealing with stuff from wrestling. So we kind of had a plan what to do with that already because we've just experienced it so much. We never thought that I'd be getting a blood test and it coming back not right.
Well, I didn't know what to think. I just really was a mess. I think we all were just trying to process it. We're already a tight family.
It all happened pretty quick. It was kind of a blur in the moment, and having to go in the hospital only thinking I'm going to be there a couple days getting antibiotics, and turning out to be there for the next 35 days.
Samuel's he's a quiet guy. He's a gentle giant. He doesn't a lot of times express emotion. He took it very straight-faced.
Just trying to process it. I mean, it was just completely difficult. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to think about and go through. I mean, not to take anything from what Samuel went through, but as a dad, when you have a son that, is sick, or when you have any child that's sick, it's just challenging. And him having, any kind of cancer was the furthest thing from my imagination.
The first day of chemo was probably when it was like, this is all happening. I started feeling the effects of the chemo. That's when it really kind of clicked that this is going to be a journey. He
didn't eat a whole lot. He lost quite a bit of weight that first round, like 50 pounds, which, was a lot. Samuel and I would imagine, getting and have conversations about what does this mean? Am I going to get to ever play football again? Am I ever going to get to wrestle again? And we just didn't know. And so we were just taking one day at a time. And that was our goal, was to look to just that day, not to tomorrow. And we didn't look a whole lot in the past, except obviously the fun things that we've gotten to do and the challenges that he's gotten to overcome. And then we just put our trust and faith in the Lord. That was something that was really, really important to us.
Early on, my mindset was just, I'm going to beat this. But I was just hoping to get on and move on with my life and go to college, definitely. And I definitely didn't want to stop playing sports, but early on, I definitely didn't think I was going to be playing that year. 2 months after I got out of the hospital, I didn't think I was going to be playing.
There were some scary moments, and so it was just like, that's where we really still felt like we needed to just look at each day.
It really didn't look real hopeful for him getting to play football at all his senior year and probably not wrestle.
Even on the darkest, hardest days, I really wasn't thinking about it at the time. I was just trying to get better. But when I wasn't going through something like really hard at the time, I was thinking about it, thinking about practicing again, thinking about being with the guys. So I never really lost hope in being able to play again.
For Sam's teammates at Lovejoy, including his best friend and star linebacker Peyton Pierce, it was so tough to watch him fight for his health.
I would consider Sam and Peyton almost like brothers, and so it was really tough for us all to handle. But I think after it kind of settled in, we were like, all right, we gotta all come together.
And grow up with a person like Peyton, really special. He was there that day, him and his family. Just knowing I have all those people that just love me so much and were there for me meant a lot. I was real worried about the team because, I mean, those are my guys. I'm with them every day, every morning, go to school with them. So just knowing how close they came together and how hard they worked meant a lot.
I just remember him coming home and he just said, "Dad, I got to get on the field." And so he still had his lines in his chest, and there were still things that needed to happen before they pulled that out. And so he just was really, really pushing hard, pushing us hard, and pushing, the doctors hard. We were pestering the doctors as well. I think a couple of times Sammy and I went to the clinic, without an appointment to get tested or do something to advance, to the next step to be able to get these lines out.
And when we come back, it's an incredible journey that takes him back out onto the football field. The will to win another state title in wrestling, and his special friend, Duke.